Today I'm going to show you how to use Amber Glow. I'm going to show you Amber Glow. It's a really versatile look. It has a lot of neutral colors with a little bit of smokiness, so it kind of gives you a sultry look. You can make it as soft as you want, or you can make it as dark as you want, depending on how much brown you use and how much of this color. So you can really have a nice neutral look with it just by using these colors, or dress it up a little bit. And what I did, I show you at the end how you can even add a little bit of my crystal cream palette, these colors, the soft champagne gold colors, and give it a little bit of glow. So I show you how you can do it without the glow and show you how to do it with the glow. And this is a very easy look to do, very simple, very easy. And I've done this look for young girls, for prom girls. I've done it for brides. I've done it for entire bridal parties, and nobody knew, everybody looked different. So it's a really versatile look, very easy to do, very easy to wear. So this is Amber Glow. Let me just show you. So this is Amber Glow, so simple and beautiful. We're gonna get started with the look. I first prepped my skin, which is very important. Make sure you use, I'm using my C serum and my healing oil. I find that these two are perfect to use when I'm doing a makeup application, because I use a lot of powder. A lot of people don't think you can use powder when you reach a certain age. It depends what powder, it depends how you apply it. So that's why I'm telling you, make sure you use a nice hydrating serum. The C serum is great. It has lots of peptides, hyaluronic acid, matrixyl 3000, and vitamin C, and then my healing oil, which is so important. I feel like maybe this is even more important. The healing oil, it has grapeseed, frankincense, sandalwood, and myrrh, but it's the perfect balance for your skin. Your skin can absorb it. I have it on already, but we're gonna help to set the makeup. And because you have this on to prep the skin, it's gonna help that much more to set the makeup and make sure that that powder doesn't set in any lines. And the type of powder I use doesn't really set in lines anyway. So it's a really great powder. It's a photochromatic powder. I have it on my website. And I suggest you have different shades. I'll be using Sandbox. This is Sandbox, and this is Parchment. I use the both of these to prep my skin, like around the eyes, because Parchment is a little lighter, so I want a little brightness around my eyes. And then I use Sandbox, which is really like my tone, my skin tone, and I use cookie dough. So I use cookie dough and Sandbox to do the rest of my face. So I use 3 different powders to do my foundation, and I think it's important because you also want one that's good when you're the lightest shade, like in the winter. And then as you get darker, most people do, unless you stay out of the sun completely. But I think having those colors is very important, having the lighter one and a little darker one. I already prepped my skin also. I did the C serum and the healing oil, and I put a tiny bit of my sheer foundation, my sheer liquid foundation. I just put that around my eyes. So I just put it on my eyes, went inside this little pocket in there, and that was it. I just like a little extra boost around my eyes just because I have dark circles. So that's what I have already. Now I'm going to use my powder brush, which is dirty because I used it yesterday. So I'm gonna use this powder. I like the angle so it fits right inside to go right in there and scoop around. So I'm gonna do my powder. I'm gonna mix my Sandbox and my Parchment. I used a tiny bit more Parchment than Sandbox because I want brightness around my eyes. And I'm just laying the brush in so it fits right in that little pocket and just scooping underneath. Same thing on the other side and on top of my lids. So I'm going right on top of my lids. I'm going on my nose. I'm going all around. So I'm gonna go back in and I'm gonna use just Sandbox. And then later on, I'm gonna do Sandbox and cookie dough. Like I said before, do not be afraid of powder. I'm even gonna go in now with a sponge, and I'm gonna do a little bit of Sandbox and Parchment because I wanna go around my eyes. I really wanna make sure everything looks nice and set. And I'm probably gonna do it after the shadow too, but I'm just gonna add a little bit now. I'm just adding a little bit, just where I usually get dark, around the outer corner. I'm gonna do in that inner pocket. That's where you get the darkest, right there. And go on top of my eyelid and down the sides of my nose. So I like to make it lighter right there. It just shapes the face better, it shapes the nose better. So this is it for the powder foundation for now. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of bronzer. So I use my Tahitian Tan bronzing powder, and I'm gonna use my blush brush. And I like to do this because I wanna add a little bit more powder to my face before I do my first setting in, before I do my eyes. So I'm just going around. I'm not doing the blush part too much, I'm just doing the bronzer, but I am going the apples of my cheek, going into the crease, my cheek hollow, right underneath there. So it is kind of like contouring, but I don't do it with a million different products. So again, I'm the makeup artist that doesn't like to use a lot of different products. I don't like to use a million different brushes. I don't like to use a million different products. But whatever you want to do, you can do. I just feel like, so I did formulate products in a lab. So I did have my own line of products. I used to sell in Nordstrom's and Bloomingdale's. I sold around the world. I had little boutiques and stores that sold my products. So I did have time that I spent in a lab where we formulated a lot of products. And one thing I realized, which is why I use my powder foundations a lot, I'm not afraid of it. It depends on the ingredients that we have in those products. Let me just set this in. So I just take my hands, there's nothing on it, and I just press. So this is how I set my powder, especially around my eyes, because I don't want it sitting on top of any lines that might be there. And I just press. I'm not rubbing, I'm pressing. So you can see around the eyes, especially on the outer corner where you might get some lines, just press. Just press like that. Another place is right in the crease of the nose. I hate that. On my nose, in this little pocket. So I just press all over. Use my hands, go on top of my lip. On the chin is pretty big because people tend to have a lot of little lines on their chin. So that's what I do to set it, and that's why I feel very secure wearing a powder. The type of powder, the way I prep my skin, and the way I set it. So now I'm gonna get into the eyeshadow, and then I'm gonna complete my story about the foundations. So I'm doing Amber Glow, like I said before, and I'm gonna start off with these two colors, and I'm gonna use them just a little damp. So I'm using this brush, my fluff brush, very basic. And once the brush is a little damp, then I go into these two colors. Just roll the brush around and pick them up. So that's it. And now I'm gonna add this right on top of my lid. I'm starting in the center, and I'm gonna go into the inner corner and out a little bit. I'm going on the lid and a little bit above. So it may look a little more intense for some, but it's fine. The way I'm gonna do the look, it really does look really nice on so many different people. So I'm going out and I'm going above a little bit. So it does look a little intense, but this is the Amber Glow. It gives you like a nice sultry kind of look. So I'm gonna do the other eye. You can see the way I was doing it, I didn't go all the way into the inner corner. I started right here, like maybe a quarter of the way out. Then I went and dabbed all over and went up. So I went up towards the brow. Same thing on this side, I went up. And remember, when you do both sides, you're different angles. So it's always gonna come up a little different. So you just have to go back and check it. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm just checking, making sure I stop at the right, at the same spot on both sides. I feel like this eye is a tiny bit darker, so I'm gonna add a little bit more of the dark color on this side. So you can see I have the shadow on. I went up a little bit above my crease on both sides, going up towards the brow, because I really like to lift the eyes up. That's one of my things I always like to do. I like to go above the crease because it really does lift the eyes. Step. I'm just gonna do a little bit of color under the brow just to soften the edge lines. That's another thing I like to do. I like to blend a lot. So I'm just gonna use this brush, my blending brush, and I'm gonna go in the lightest color in the palette. This one right here, just dabbing on both sides. And now I'm gonna dab underneath, doing the other side. And I'm going right up to the edge of that shadow I just did, even on the outer corner. So it's really just blending that edge line so it doesn't look like it just starts and stops. So now I'm gonna do the crease a little bit. The crease with my crease brush, my favorite one. And I'm gonna use just that soft pink that's inside here. Just that soft pink. It's just to blend that edge line a little bit. And I'm just going right here and back and forth. So the reason why I'm not afraid to use powder foundation is because when you use formulas, you use pigments. You use powder pigments most of the time. Sometimes they blend them for lip gloss or lipsticks. They have like a creamy pigment, but otherwise you're blending in a powder pigment. So this powder that I'm using is very silky. So I like that it's very silky. Now that my my foundation of my face, like I prepped my skin with the healing oil and the C serum, that's almost like creating the emollient that you're going to use when you mix with a powder when you have a formulation. So in other words, I'm kind of making a formulation on my face because I already have my skin prepped, and I'm not saying I doused it in oil, it's just there. And then when I put the powder on, it's mixing in with what I had on my face. So, and then when you press it in, it's kind of combining them very gently, very lightly, but it is combining them. And that's why I'm really not afraid of wearing powder, because if you prep the skin correctly, you don't have to worry about a wrinkly mess. So that's my theory. You can try it out. You can see if it works for you. I like it. I think it works really well. And I don't like creamy makeup. I don't like wearing heavy creams around my eyes. I feel like it weighs down. I feel like that shows more creases and lines. And I feel very self-conscious if I'm outside in the sunlight and I have a cream foundation on or a very, heavy liquid. I feel like that shows up more. So I feel like more people are gonna see like a bunch of makeup bunched in the corner of my nose or around my eyes. I feel more self-conscious with that than I do with the powder foundation. So the powder foundation, I have a little bit more security, and I don't feel like my face looks like a wrinkly mess or just a blotchy, slippery mess of makeup. So that's my theory. Try it out, see what works for you. So I just did that crease like that, went all the way around to the outer corner and right on that edge. So it's just really blending those edges so it doesn't look like it starts and stops. Like I said before, I blend a lot. I paint, so that's one of my things is I'm constantly blending. So again, I'm going in with the nude powder and just blending that edge. Very easy. Now I'm gonna do a little bit of liner. I'm gonna try and make this a very soft kind of sultry look. So I'm just using truffle liner. It's a brown liner. It doesn't have any shimmer in it or anything. And how I'm gonna do it is I'm just gonna start from the bottom. I'm going from the bottom line. I'm going a little bit on there, on that bottom lash line, and then I'm gonna go up. So I'm going up from the bottom lash line and going up. I'm kind of angling towards the eyebrow. So it just makes a very easy lift. And if you do have a little bit more of a droopy lid, go in a little bit. Don't go to the outer part, go in a little bit and lift. And it's okay if you make a mistake, whatever, because I like to go over the outer edge with a little bit of powder. So I blend it and make it look a little more smoky so you don't have to draw a perfect line. So I'm gonna do the other side. So you can see that's just the outer edge. So I just did the outer line, lifted it up a little bit, went a little bit on the bottom. Now what I'm gonna do, which you don't have to do, I'm gonna do a little bit on the top. So I'm gonna make the line a little bit on the top part. Now, I mentioned before, which is just ridiculous, that I can't wink, I can't close one eye. So I'm just gonna stretch my eye out so I can do it and you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going really close to my lash line and I'm kind of making just little dashes. I'm not trying to draw a straight line and I'm not stretching my eye out too much. I'm just stretching it out a little bit. And I'm making little tiny dashes going towards the inner and then lifting up a little bit. And always give yourself a little break to blink. Don't try and do it and hold yourself, without blinking the whole time. When I do makeup, I do that also. When I work with clients, I know that this is very stressful for them. So a lot of times I just stop because I know they're gonna blink. And then I start again. So I do it a couple of times because I know that trying not to blink makes your eyes water more. So I'm gonna do the other side. So I lined both eyes, the top going out and lifted up on the outer corner. I'm just gonna make sure the inner part is the same intensity on both sides. And again, you don't have to be perfect because I'm gonna show you how you can smudge the line and it doesn't matter if it's like perfectly straight. With my little smudgy smoky brush, it's pretty stiff, but it's still flexible. So I'm gonna use that to smudge underneath and the top. So I'm using it just a little wet again. So I'm just spraying it on my little compact, wiping the brush around so it's not too wet. And then I'm gonna pick up these two colors. So I'm using a little bit of this kind of ambery color and a little bit of the brown. So I'm just dabbing into both of those. So I'm dabbing into both. And what I like to do is dab a little bit on my hand. And that's so I can see the color. I can smush it into the tip of the brush. And I also have a little guide. So when I do the other side, I know what color I used. So I just added a little bit more of that amber color. So now I'll know when I want to match up, how to match it up to. I know what to match it up to because I like that color better. So I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna do a little bit of smudge on the bottom over that line. And it's very easy to do, especially since it's a little damp. You're not gonna get a lot of trickle down. So I'm just dabbing right on top, just very light. I'm not even pressing too much. And I'm going up to that outer line that we made. So I'm just smoking. I'm just smoking it up all the way underneath. So same thing on the other side. It has taken me through the years. I created this palette a long time ago. I've changed it, a bunch of times, but the idea of it has been the same because I wanted something to be kind of smoky without being dark black, really dark black or gray or anything. I wanted it to be soft. I wanted it to be kind of a sultry look that really accents the eyes and lifts them, but it's very wearable. And you can change this so much. You can make it so much softer or make it more intense. And when you put lashes on, it looks really great too. So I do this look a lot. I just dabbed a little bit more in and I made it just a tiny bit darker, a little bit more brown, because now I'm gonna do the top. I'm gonna smudge the top liner. So I'm gonna lift my eye again a little bit just so I can go right on top of that line. So I'm just starting in the middle and I'm just laying the brush down. I made sure I wiped it on that little puff that I have so I get more water in it, because I don't want it to trickle down. There's a little bit of trickle, but not that much. I just laid right on top of that line. So this look has I've used for entire wedding parties. Not gonna lie. No one really knew, but when they sat down to get their makeup done, they were all like, oh, I want that look, because I had a bunch of looks that they could look at. And they'd say, oh, I want that. So I didn't tell them, oh, the other person had it on, because it honestly looks different on everybody. And I would adjust it to look different on everybody. So, and just recently, I did this look on a client. She was getting her senior pictures done. So I did it on a client that was getting her senior pictures done. And that same week, I did it on a client who was going to a wedding, who was older. She was like in her 40s, and she was going to a wedding. So I did it for the senior girl and for the 40-year-old going to a wedding. So it's a very versatile look. And a lot of times I wear this when I'm working. I might do it just a little lighter, maybe not as much smokiness on the liner. Maybe not all the way on the top. Maybe I'll just do the outer corner. But I'll do this for a work day. And everybody loves it. No one says, you have way too much makeup on. They all think it looks nice. They just don't know how to do it. So that's why I have these videos. So to teach everybody how to do it. So I'm just smoking up the bottom, just trying to make it even. You can see I just wanted to make it even underneath, and I did the top. And now what I'm gonna do, let me just wipe my hand because I have a mess on there, and somehow it'll end up on my face. So wipe it off just a little bit, make sure my fingers are clean. I'm gonna do a little bit of my powder brush and just scoot underneath, just flick it off. Flick the powder off, anything that fell underneath. So I'm just wiping it. There was not much else on the brush, so I can flick it off, and that's all you have to do. Now, I'm using this brush again and that neutral color, that nude color. So I'm just going in a little bit of that, just a tiny bit. And I'm just gonna go underneath just a little bit, right on that edge. I just flip the brush over so I get the stuff on the other side. And I just like how it kind of lifts and kind of highlights that line, and it just gives it more of a clean look. And now what I'm gonna do is use, this is totally optional. You can leave it just like this. I'm gonna smoke out the outer corner just a little bit more with the crease brush. I'm just going into the brown. I went into the brown, and I'm dabbing onto a tissue. I'm dabbing the tip onto the tissue after I dabbed it into the powder to prevent a lot of the trickle down. And I'm not brushing a lot. I'm just dabbing right on the outer corner. So I'm just dabbing on the outer corner and going up into the crease a little bit, just like that. It just really helps to lift just a little bit more. Same thing on the other side. I went into the powder and I'm dabbing the tip. So let me just show you. I'll do it on this piece of paper towel, which has stuff on it, but that's okay. So I'm dabbing into this powder just a little bit. I never smash the powder in. I never smash it. I just roll it around a little bit into the color. So there's a little bit right on the tip, just the very tip. Then I'm taking the tissue and I'm dabbing that tip around. So if it's on the table, or you can do it on your hand, you can press it down. So now it's pushing that color into the tip a little bit more, but you're doing it very gently. So this way you prevent some of that trickle down. And again, I'm gonna go right here and just dab. I'm not brushing a lot. I'm just dabbing it around, and that little tiny bit will create that outer corner. So I'm going on the outer corner into the crease a little bit. And now you can smoke it up as much as you want, but I'm just doing it a little bit. I don't want it to be too dark. Some may think that this is very dark, but once I put my mascara on, and I wanted it to look a little bit dramatic, because I wanted to show you how to do it. So again, I'm just taking the brush and flicking away. So you're just gonna dab that powder all the way underneath, and just make sure it's nice and clean, and taking that nude powder and just going under the brow a little bit on both sides. And now I'm gonna add a little bit to that inner pocket that I kind of avoided. You can just do the nude, or you can mix the nude. You can do the nude, mix it with that color also, or you can go with the cream powder too and add a little bit of glimmer. But I'm just gonna do this. I'm adding the two, just a little bit of both, just to add a little bit and finish off that inside pocket. So I'm just taking it, dabbing right in there. Going into that tear duct. So I'm going into that tear duct and just up. So I just went into that tear duct and just went up along that side. So right in there. So it's really gonna help brighten up your eyes just a little bit more and extend them out. So that's Amber Glow. So that's Amber Glow. And again, I'm gonna make sure there's nothing on my hands, make sure there's no brown powder or anything. And I'm just gonna press a little bit more, especially on that inner pocket. I'm just pressing, just to make sure it doesn't sit inside any little lines and make it look like there's creases. So just dabbing with my fingers, pressing in, I'm not dabbing, I'm pressing in. Now I'm going to do my lashes. I'm gonna curl my lashes and do my mascara. I don't have to talk you through this, so I'm gonna do it really fast. Using my pink volume mascara, just scraping off a little bit. I have a date on it, October. If you didn't watch one of my other videos, it's just because I like to put a date on when I need a new one, because I forget and I end up not liking my mascara. I say, oh my God, this mascara is horrible, it's so clumpy, and it isn't doing what I thought it was doing all this time. I thought it was a great mascara, now I realize it's not. And when I realized it was time to get a new one. So I like to keep them for like 3 months and then get a new one. So I put the date on it so I know if it's October, I need to get a new one. Instead of waiting and realizing I don't like my mascara and then realizing I do like my mascara, it's just old. Now I have my lashes done, and now I'm going to do a little bit of blush. I'm going to add my bronzer and my blush together just to do a little bit on the apples of my cheek, and it kind of lifts up your eyes a little bit more. I'm using Rosy and Sunlit Rose. I just have them on my palette and I'm just dabbing into them, and just a tiny bit of my bronzer, and I'm just dabbing on the apples of my cheek. It may look a little intense, but I always end up buffing it around. So I'm going on the apples of my cheek and going up towards the shadow that I just did. So I'm actually going right on top of that shadow, right on the outer part of my eyebrow, up into my hairline, and just blending it all on top of my forehead. So first I dab most of the color off over here, and then I go up on my forehead. Then it's adding a little bit more, just a tiny bit, because I'm not dabbing back into the product. I'm just using whatever's left on the brush after I dab it on my cheeks. And I'm going up a little bit here, going a little bit on my nose, and just scooping up. So I want to lift my cheeks up. So lift just like if I was doing the Anma or the Time Master Pro, lifting it up. And then lifting up a little bit over here. And I'm gonna take my brush that I used with my powder and just kind of buff it around. So it kind of blends it in. any edges that might be there. So it's very simple. And a lot of times too, you can just do around your neck, wherever you want, just to blend the color in, whatever works for you. So now I'm gonna do my lip liner. So I'm doing Rescue Me, which I usually use. One day I'll do a different one just so you can see, but I like it to be very neutral, and this one happens to be very neutral. Line my lips. I don't really press down straight on like that. I always do it on the side. When I do it on the side, it kind of smudges. It doesn't draw like a skinny little line. It makes it a little thicker. So I like using it on the side. And I anchor, so I lean and then just draw. Makes it much easier. So that's my lip liner. I do go a little bit outside of my natural lip line just because I like my lips to look a little fuller. And today I'm going to use a little bit of Remake. It's this very neutral lip gloss, which I love. It goes really nice with Amber Glow. It goes nice with Natural Beauty. It goes nice with a lot of different looks. Island Girl. So I'm just using that. Oops. It's light because I feel like my eyes are a little more smoky, so I like a softer lip color. But that's another way that you can change it. If you make it a little deeper, or a little more color to it, it could change the look. Or I could have not done a shimmer and just done like a neutral brown, like a nude, and it would change the look. So that's Remake with Amber Glow and my Rescue Me lip liner. So this is the look. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you like it. I'm gonna give you a little extra tip that you can do, totally up to you. I'm just gonna show you. You can use you can use the Crystal Cream palette, and I'm gonna take a little bit of this color, just a tiny bit. You can mix it with the gold, get like a nice gold champagne color, have it on your finger. You can see it's just a little bit. And what you can do, you can add a little bit on the lid, and it'll kind of make it a little softer, a little glowier. Let me just show you. I'm just gonna lift it up. I'm just gonna go to the side so I can see my lid a little bit. So you can see I just added a little bit, not much at all, but I added it right to the lid, which you can do this before you put mascara on, but I wanted to show you the complete look and then just show you adding it a little bit. So you can see that inner corner, it just adds a little bit of glow. So you can do this. I can even show you how you can smudge the bottom and make it look a little bit more intense, or a little bit more, not even intense, a little lighter, just a little sparkly, a little brighter. So let me do this side. That's so subtle, but it really does make a difference. It really just helps to brighten up the look even more. And let me show you what you can do to the bottom. I can go into this color, the gold. I can even dab a tiny bit into that ambery color, just a little bit. You can have fun and go in any of these colors as an addition to the liner, but I'm just gonna keep it true to the color that I'm doing and just adding a tiny bit. Like, you'll see the difference that it makes. And I'm just going along the outer edge and going in. So it's so subtle, but it looks really fun. It looks really cool. It just adds a little bit to the whole look. Kind of softens it a little bit. You can see it just added a little bit of color to it. You can go crazy with it. I can even show you how to add just a little bit more to the top, because you can dress it up. You can dress it up, or you can just make it look a little more casual by adding a little bit more shimmer. Just going right in here. Crystal Cream palette, those colors are so versatile. You can do so much with them. So this is Amber Glow. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you like the look. It's a very soft, neutral look. It does give you a little bit of a glow, a little bit of an amber glow. To me, it gives you like a sultry look. So it's a nice sultry look without looking dark and smoky. And I didn't use any black, I just used the browns and that ambery color. And it gives you a really nice look. You can use it for any occasion. Doesn't matter how old you are, this look can work for you.